So I'm going to take you on my little mechanical journey here today. This is my daughter's 2010 Nissan Cube. Oh, it's a very cute little car. She's a little ticked off at the moment though. It hasn't started for probably 3 months now. She hasn't been able to drive it because it won't start. Very frustrating. Now, you'd say, oh, change the battery in the fob. But that's not it, because it makes a good battery noise. Lock, unlock. Which one is which? Unlock. There we go. Makes a great battery noise. So when you get in, well, first you'll see hers is all tore apart because I've been working on it. And, oh, sorry. So the doors unlock, they lock, the brake lights work. So we knew it wasn't the battery. Battery wasn't dead. We just bought a battery for this car not too long ago. But with these type of cars, it's keyless entry, and I'm going to apologize right now once and never again. These nails are disgusting. I've been working on this car for most of the afternoon. You depress the brake, you push this button. Oh, well, that wasn't supposed to happen because it's fixed now. Rats, I ruined my secret, but nothing would happen when she would do that. So, now I ruined the surprise. Anyway, but it's a good surprise, right? So it wouldn't happen. It just wasn't starting at all. Very, very sad. So I did a lot of YouTube stuff, and I found out that the electronic steering column lock is what usually goes wrong with the 2009-10 type Cubes, other Nissans, other cars as well. And that steering column lock is located, as you know, it sounds, on the steering column. It's right here. It's not there now because it's all right there and there. Anyway, it's located there, and this little doohickey here is pretty clever, and it holds it on the, it's hard to do this with one hand. I need a GoPro, but this will be the only mechanical video I ever do. So anyway, this is up here, sorry, behind the steering column. See, there's the steering column back there, holds it on there, and you use those little screws. I mean, undo the screws, and you can take off the, oh, there goes the screw. Well, I'll get it out later. Anyway, just won't tell my husband. Anyway, so now I can't show you because I can't find the other one. Well, they're not actually screws. It looks like a screw, but what it actually is, you know, we should have two of those somewhere. It is a safety screw when you had to use a Dremel. Oh, here it is. Here's one. So we used a Dremel, and we made our own little slot for the screwdriver, and then this lock box, which is one unit typically, just came right off. Now getting into this lock box is a little weird because see these holes here? I had to actually take this to my neighbor and have him put the holes in there because he has a really cool vise. Anyway, it's little teeny tiny somethings. I don't know what they're called. They are not rivets, but anyway, you have to drill them out in order for the top to pop off of it. Pop off like that. So there's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You have to be very careful when you're drilling them out because inside here, this electronic piece sits in there, and you don't want to go in and damage it, even though it does sit below that. It just still be careful. Anyway, so you open it up, and this is how you take it off. Sorry. This little wire here, there's a little clippy bob there. It just clips, pull that out. So then you're going to have all that right here. Da, 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 da. Now, I'd love to show you what this looks like before our little Jimmy rig fix here. But on this little, maybe yours are blue, maybe not, but on that little blue thing in there, there are 2 little buttons that depress. Now, there are a lot of other things that are involved in this, but in a nutshell, the car will not start unless those 2 little things are depressed. And this plastic gear, which is probably worn out, and this thing which comes down and locks your steering wheel, and the springs are wore out, and I heard about the motor, so I know the motor works, but it just didn't work very well with the, like that anymore, like that. Just didn't work very well. So, took those off, and what I did was, I hooked this back up, I depressed those 2 little buttons, and oh my goodness, believe it or not, put the foot thingy in, brake, started the car, boom, it started. So then our next thing was just how do we permanently get these buttons down. So my husband found a piece of metal that we had. It was very thin, probably about, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch wide. I don't know, but it's thin. You can see how thin that is. And put that on those buttons to hold them down, taped it. He just went to get some more tape and little tiny, what are they called? Zip ties, so we can tie it. Got to be really careful. See all these electronic components? Do not touch them. Do not get them wet. Do not spill coffee on them. Just try not to touch that stuff. So they're depressed permanently. And then all we have to do is push the brake in, and I can't find the button when I'm looking at the camera. And then, surprise! I know, I ruined the surprise earlier. And it starts, and it started every single time I've tried to start it. A great little fix here. People talked about going under the hood and removing the fuse to this, but that didn't work for our car. I don't know why. So I just did this little fix here. Now, when Ross gets back from the store, I'm gonna have put some more tape on there, and then just put a little zip tie around it to make sure it stays on there. We will put this box back on. We will not be able to close it like normal, so more electrical tape to close this, and then probably he'll probably put 5 zip ties on there. That's what he likes to do, is like get things really tight. But if you'll notice, look, these necessary parts that came with it, no longer necessary. They're not gonna break down. Nothing moving in here anymore. So unless something happens with bad solder or something like that, this should be a good permanent fix. It seems to be anyway. So we'll put this thing back together. There's a couple of screws I didn't tell you about. There's a couple, these little screws that hold that board in there. See, it's got like is that a hex key? I don't even know. I do this stuff and I don't even know the terms. Anyway, use that to get that out of there. And put it back together, stick it on there. We'll have to wrap, I'm sure he'll use duct tape too, electrical tape, around to put the lockbox back on here. And then more, woohoo! Well, the windshield wipers work. More zip ties, and then I'll be able to put the plastic on there. No one will ever be able to tell that we got in there and we jimmy rigged this thing. So you can do that yourself. It really didn't take that long once I figured out what I was doing. I wanted to give up, but I didn't want to because I hate spending money. Anyway, and my daughter doesn't have the money. But so you could take and get it fixed, but it costs usually at least $800. They used to just replace this, the electronic steering column lock, but they just kept going bad. So they now replace it with an electronic steering column box, which box and lock, the only two difference on there, meaning that what was happening with her car before, and when it wouldn't start, is that the steering wheel was not locked. And at this point now, her steering wheel will never lock again because I've removed very important lock things. This is what would lock the steering wheel. It is now gone. It will never lock again. So Nissan warns me that people can now steal her Nissan Cube. Whatever. Anyway, and so they are now replacing it with the steering column box, which again will not lock it, but they never have to worry about those little plastic boogers wearing out. These were not meant to be opened. They're not meant to be fixed inside. They're meant to be disposed of. But these parts cost, we found a cheap one of these. Don't even know that would fit her car. Oh, there, I finally got it together. It's like a puzzle. We found one for somebody's car for $250 online, but they're typically about $500. I don't know how much. And this is the lock. This is the electronic steering column lock. I don't know how much the electronic steering column boxes are, but that's the majority of the cost because it takes them not very much time at all to actually take the yucky one off and replace it with a new one. So for just the cost of a little bit of tape, that piece of metal, I mean, we already had that stuff. This actually cost us nothing. So all I can say is good luck to you. Sorry if I blathered on. That's kind of what I do. But again, if you're lucky enough to have one of these little keyless entry things and all of a sudden your car will not start, this could be the culprit. And this could be the answer. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to post this really fast before my husband comes home because it's just kind of embarrassing, but I'm going to do it anyway. Bye.